Hey, welcome to the desk of Coach Hess. Glad to have you here today. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about GrowthCLUB, give you a bit of a preview. This video will take, maybe 4 or 5 minutes in its entirety, but it'll give you an idea of what to expect coming into GrowthCLUB. And of course, many of you are already enrolled, and this is kind of a preview. Those of you that are not enrolled and want to get access to the documents that I'll be sharing here, that's going to be available for you just to get a hold of me via the link that's part of this video. And it's got a registration. Once you register, you're in, and then I feed you the documents, of course. So let's talk a little about what GrowthCLUB is. It's really a planning session, all right? We look at the next quarter, the whole quarter number 1 of 2022, and break it down into some very detailed kind of areas so that we have excellent time management, number 1, and also excellent money management. And third, but not least, is the marketing. Understanding what our marketing is, how to test and measure our marketing throughout the quarter so that we can get predictable profitability in our business. That's the whole purpose of getting yourself in a comfortable spot. So let's take a look at a few of the documents. First, there's 2 documents I'm going to show you. The first one, I've built out my GrowthCLUB guide, which is basically about 10 tabs of information that's linked together. And I'll just walk you through mine real quickly. And then we'll also look at a pro forma, what that means in terms of putting your budget together. And these 2 documents are documents that I would expect to have pretty well completed prior to showing up at the GrowthCLUB, because we go way beyond, from there. That's how we grow together and as a team. Where there'll be as many as 20 companies involved in this, and maybe more. So let me share my screen real quick and show you the GrowthCLUB guide. The first thing we start off with in the GrowthCLUB guide, you can see the success review. We take a look back at 2021 and say, hey, what really went well? 3 key achievements that we accomplished in 2021, and then why it happened, and then further action we can take to make that, to capitalize on what was successful previously, of course. All right. We open up GrowthCLUB with our introduction, where each company that is there and represented will present this particular slide as their intro and talk about their strengths and all the great things they had accomplished in 2021, and give a review of their company accordingly. The second tab is really a checklist, and it's, how did we do last year? And where do we need to improve? So I give you a checklist to read through, basically for review and to get familiar with what maybe you should be focusing on. If you're not, many of these items will probably be irrelevant to where you are in your company, but it's good to have a checklist. You can see the checklist is pretty extensive. It goes 15 areas for you to think about as you start to, from here, move into your planning. You set your 90-day goals. Yeah, I always have a personal goal as the first one, and of course it's in red. It's very important that we take care of ourselves, because we don't take care of ourselves, guess what? None of the rest of it's going to happen. So I always put a personal goal there. You can see mine's healthy, wealthy, and wise. You put a must-achieve business goal in. All right, in my case, it's to make $10,000 revenue. That's my must-achieve to keep this business going where I would like it to be going. And my business goal number 2 is to launch and promote Action Club on demand, which is in place to do and ready to go. So I'm excited about making that happen in this quarter. And then the third one, of course, is increase community support and presence. And that's done through a variety of activities that I've scheduled out. Well, all that sounds good. Everybody likes to set their goals, right? Well, you get your goals set, but really when it comes down to getting it done, all right, let me show you the next steps on this. Each and every one of those 4 goals will have an area like this, where it'll break it down into saying, what's the goal? How are you going to measure it, right? Why do you want to achieve it? What it will mean to you? And then the reality, what's holding you back from getting it done now? In the process of identifying that, thinking through it, you then identify specific tasks that you're going to do to achieve that goal. In my case, you can see it's walking my dog, it's cycling, golfing, learning, and reading. I've got scheduled 25 hours, all right, because you can see as I go through week over week, how much time are you actually going to put in to accomplish this particular set of tasks, or each individual task, right? So you get very granular when you start to think of it this way. 5 hours to go golfing. Well, my wife and I love to do it. I've got it scheduled here. All right. So as you go through the process, and also ask you at the bottom, describe the ideal outcome and so on, no health issues, life of abundance, and continued on my steep learning curve, which has been going on since I've been coaching for 3 years now. It's been an exciting run. All right. So that's the structure. You can see that you do that for each one, right? Here's the same thing for your must achieve. What are you going to do about it? When are you going to put the time in? Business goal 2, same thing. How much time? You can see less time is needed to accomplish this and spread out more. And business goal 3, again, time. All again, looks great on paper, but how is it really going to happen? Well, how it happens is when you get to this page and you go to your summary page, right, of all of these tasks that we went through, and now you take each one of these line items and put it to your calendar for the next 90 days. In my case, I've got Walk Aussie, about a half hour, 3 days before. I want to say 5 days a week, actually, every day, pretty much, that I'll go out and walk. It'll be 52 hours I'll put in and, probably walk, 100 miles. Anyway, that's part of what's there. It's going to happen because it's on my calendar, because the fact is 90% of what's on your calendar will get done. So get it to your calendar. And so that's what this whole exercise is about. This is time management to the max. Okay. That's the first area we cover in kind of in detail when you show up. What we'll do is we'll have breakout sessions. For example, when we go to our must achieve goal, how are you going to measure it? Why do you want to achieve it? We'll have breakout sessions where you'll describe that in the tasks that you're going to do to each other, and then share those as a group. It's a great exercise, and on and on. There'll be many exercises to kind of refine and cement, because what you find when you put these tasks in and you start putting them to your calendar is that you start setting priorities a little higher and make some adjustments. Hope that all makes sense. Included in it, we still, we also get involved in test and measuring, another tab that's within this workbook. This is where we break down all of our marketing strategies into actual granular levels of weekly basis, where we can keep track of them and recognize what we're getting a return on for our investments in test and measuring. Based on the 5 ways, I go through lots of detail in explaining this during the Growth Club, and we'll have success because of it. Okay, this is an example of the default calendar, or the calendar you would build, where you would put those type of things that you had on your task list for your goals. This is what it would look like. We cover a section on discipline. What are you going to do in terms of having discipline to get these things done? And then we end with a letter to ourselves, as if we achieved the complete set of this whole thing in this workbook and all the goals. So how do we feel about that, and give ourselves a pat on the back for achieving what we designed to do? All right. Second one. This is about the numbers. All right. One of the things that I like to have everybody have prepared as they come into this is you got to understand where your margin are and what your cost is and so on. You got to, if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. Let's put it out there for you. I think everybody kind of gets that. But you can see that if you take an average off of what happened in 2021 as your first line, right off your P&L, that you should be able to take from your QuickBooks if you're running QuickBooks, but from your P&L, you'll be able to identify those expenses that are variable and those that are fixed. Make sure you get those put in, all right, identified kind of as an average for 2021, and then start to put those out into your projections for all of 2022. What your revenue line's the top line, all right, so that's back to some of your marketing and how you're going to grow your business, all right. And then if you look down each particular column, you come down and you find out what your expenses are, what your total expenses are, what your work payments might be. If you're putting out work payment, total amount of that into, what your actual net income would be. All right. And as you go across the line, you get a pretty good idea of what your numbers and what your projections are for the year. Well, all of this put in place, some of the things that are key, you start to look at what percent of your numbers are going to where. Very important to analyze this and keep track of it. And then you put actuals in month over month, and you continually refine. Gives you the ability to adjust your model and keep on track. And hey, you got to be real with yourself here, folks. A lot of people, if you aren't real, what are you doing, and the numbers don't lie. So be real with your numbers and build it accordingly. I also built in the profit first model within this, so you can see that it'll extrapolate right into that. And then it'll also lead right over into a break-even calculator, the second tab. What's key here is you get an idea of what your gross margin is, right? And very important to have an idea of what that gross margin is as you figure out what your fixed costs are against it and end up with your break-even sales. All right. Your average dollar sale, very important number that you would put in and want to track at all times for each and every engagement that you have. And of course, your conversion rate is another thing that you want to track quite a bit, and quite a bit all the time. Okay. So those are the things that we expect people to show up with at Growth Club, already prepared and ready to roll, so that we can expand, our learning, knowledge, and our planning, right? So that we can have the most successful quarter we've ever had in our lives in this first quarter of 2022. Who cares about what's gotten our way? What's in front of us is what matters. I always talk about there's the rear view mirror in your windshield, and then there's your windshield. The windshield's a lot bigger for a reason, right? There's a lot more to have done out in front of us. And certainly we want to learn from our past, but keep going forward full speed. So that brings me to conclusion to kind of a summary of what's going on with the Growth Club on January 8th. It'll be happening at the Katy Chamber of Commerce. It starts at 10 in the morning and goes till 2:30. All right, so it's that whole time where you digest all of what I just went through. Of course, getting those documents ahead of time is important, so register right away. If you haven't, reach out to me and make sure you get the documents from me so you're prepared. The other part of that I want to continue on with the Growth Club will be that at 2:30 till 5, we'll be running a celebration for my 3-year anniversary, and you're all invited to that. Just would like to have you RSVP because we are catering and it's going to be a big event, and I'd love to have you there. So with all that said, over and out from the desk of Coach Hess.